A neuroscientist named Gregory Burns spent 15 years with a pug named Newton. They shared their routines, the couch time, the walks, the way Newton would press into his leg while Burns worked. Then Newton's spine gave out. His back legs stopped working. On the last day, Burns held him and watched his dog take one final snort of air before going still. In that silence, something hit Burns hard. After all those years, he realized he had never known if Newton actually loved him, whether any of it was real, or if he was just the person who opened the cans. That question consumed the next decade of his career, and the answer came from a maze, 13 dogs, and a choice nobody expected. Here's something nobody warns you about when you share a dog with another person. At some point, you'll stand in your own home, watching your dog lose their mind over someone who didn't even remember to buy the food that week. And it stings in a way that's weirdly hard to explain to anyone who hasn't been there. You won't say anything out loud. You'll just notice it, that quiet pull towards someone else. Most of what you find online says the same three things. Dogs bond with whoever feeds them. They imprint in the first 6 months, and they prefer people who match their energy. All of that is true, but none of it gets to the interesting part. The real question is what happens inside a dog's brain when they encounter the person they've chosen. That's where the story shifts, and it starts with what you probably think about your dog's favorite person. You think it's about who gives them the most treats or attention. You're half right but wrong about the part that really counts. Your dog isn't keeping a scorecard of rewards. Instead, they're paying attention to something much subtler, whose behavior feels the most predictable. The person who responds in the same way most of the time, not perfectly, but consistently, gets filed away. In your dog's nervous system is safe. And for a dog, safety isn't just about avoiding danger. It's active permission. Permission to relax, to stop constantly scanning the world around them. Permission to let go and play. That reliability turns into a foundation they can trust. You might also figure it's mostly about shows of affection, like who pets them the most. That's only partly true. Dogs don't form their strongest bonds with the person who touches them the most. They connect deepest with whoever is the most readable. Think steady voice, clear body language, no wild mood swings. Your dog operates like a decoder, drawn to the person whose signals they can read the fastest. And if that person was around during the first 6 months of your dog's life, while their brain was still wiring up its social map, that connection isn't just strong, it's the blueprint. It sets the template for everything that follows. That's what it looks like in everyday life. But let's see it play out under lab conditions at the University of Veterinary Medicine in Vienna, because this is the kind of evidence that sticks with you. They took dogs into an unfamiliar room and gave them a straightforward puzzle. Manipulable toys you have to nudge or paw open to get a treat. Nothing too tricky. Then they tested one key change. Who else was in the room? When the dog's owner sat nearby, not helping or even speaking, just being present, the dog stuck with it longer. They tried more approaches, stayed more engaged. Swapped the owner for a friendly stranger in the exact same spot, doing the exact same nothing, and the dog slowed down. They lost steam, quit sooner. The stranger was nice enough. The dogs didn't run away. They just couldn't draw from that presence the way they did with their owner. It didn't grant that inner go-ahead to push through and be brave. Researchers call this the secure base effect, pulled straight from how human babies act. A child won't explore a strange space without their parent nearby, not because the parent is interfering, but because that simple nearness quiets the inner alarm and sparks curiosity. At its core, your dog's favorite person is the one whose presence lets them face the world boldly. You don't need to lift a finger. Just sitting on the couch is enough. And that leads right into the chemical side of why this bond runs so deep. You might think of that secure base as something familiar and comfortable, like a security blanket. But this bond goes deeper than behavior. It's chemical, something dogs developed during domestication specifically to connect with us. And we have data from wolves to back it up. A team at Azabu University in Japan had dogs and their owners spend 30 minutes together in a room, petting, talking, just hanging out. They took urine samples before and after from both dogs and humans to measure oxytocin, the bonding hormone that surges in a mother during skin-to-skin contact with her newborn. Dogs who gazed longer into their owner's eyes showed much higher oxytocin levels afterward. It wasn't one-sided. The owner's levels spiked too. The dog's gaze kicked off the human's chemistry. Then the human's softer voice and reaching out triggered the dog's side. It formed a loop, both directions, strengthening each time. They tested the same setup with hand-reared wolves, raised by people from birth and used to humans. The wolves didn't hold eye contact, and no oxytocin loop happened, not in the wolves or the handlers. This mutual gaze doesn't work between wolves and people, or dogs and strangers. It evolved in dogs to tap the parent-child bonding system. Your dog didn't just learn to connect with you, they evolved to. And every time they hold your gaze a little longer than necessary, that system is active. Which takes us back to Gregory Burns and the question from Newton. After Newton died, Burns adopted a shy, skinny terrier mix named Callie from a shelter. He trained her to lie still in an fMRI scanner, awake and unrestrained, no sedation, to watch her brain react in real time. She was the first dog to do it. The project expanded to over 100 dogs. In 2016, his team tested 13 dogs trained to link one object with food and another with verbal praise from their owner. Brain scans showed the caudate nucleus, the center for anticipating rewards, lit up for the owners, praise as much as or more than for food in most of those dogs. Then they ran a maze with food down one path and the owner down the other, 20 trials each. Most dogs chose their person, and the scans predicted it exactly. The ones with brighter caudate responses to praise picked the human over food, trial after trial. Then there was Ozzy, a short-haired terrier mix who picked food every time, 20 for 20. Burns called him an outlier, but noted his owner understands and loves him anyway. Every dog makes this calculation a bit differently. I know some of you watching feel this directly. You do most of the work, show up every day, but your dog turns to someone else first. The research, including that secure base data from Vienna, shows it's not always about who does the most. Often it's whose nervous system matches the dog's closest. A nervous dog drawn to the calmest person in the house, even if they forget the water bowl, or an anxious dog to the most predictable one. Socialization in the first 6 months sets that wiring deep if it happens then. You didn't fail. The foundation was already there. But the Vienna work also shows secure base attachments aren't fixed. Predictable presence, not with big moves, but by showing up consistently in ways the dog's nervous system can rely on. You're not in a contest. You're laying that foundation. I keep thinking about Burns and Newton, 15 years on the couch together, 15 years of walks and leg presses. Routines that neither of them thought about because they just were. Then it was over. The question that was left wasn't whether Burns was a good owner. It was whether Newton knew him, whether any of it registered. It took a decade, 100 dogs in brain scanners, and a terrier mix, named Callie, to reach an answer. From the caudate nucleus data, the gaze loops, the maze, and every study that followed, the answer is yes. Your dog knows you, not your name, not your job, but your scent, your rhythm, your nervous system signature. They carry you in their brain the way you carry them in yours. That's not a metaphor. That's what the scans show.